picking up stones, you're saying this was purely to protect yourself. You didn't want to come out of there in a casket.
Yes.
But you think, my
Yes.
question to you was this brand of politics that now you are espousing, you said your own aunt will have asked you, Boni, who sort of bewitched you in taking this sort of brand of politics that you're in right now? Are you happy with the brand of politics that you're espousing yourself?
I think debate on a debate like this
Yes.
is good to let a panelist put a position, then you counter it or challenge
Not when
it.
you're going off on a tangent.
So the point I'm making is this, and it's very important. The reason why I have had to speak to it is his statement and the statement of Raila that some people outside us came into his bedroom. We have to clarify that it is not anybody's bedroom. It is just some locus in the Republic of Kenya. And with the constitution being very clear on the rule of freedom of movement, then nobody can possibly have a bedroom. I was concluding by saying, I want to appeal to Jakoyo and Amolo that maybe I'm different from you. I am a man who, once I commit my mind and soul to an issue, I see it to the end. This commitment you are seeing me with the Deputy President and Jubilee is not by accident. Just 2 years ago, I had this similar commitment to Raila, up to and including putting our lives on the line from the airport. They came to pick me by flying squad. The same day some people were killed. But we stood our ground. Respect us even when we don't agree with you. Thank you very much.
But Boni Khalwale, I think sitting here 3 years ago, and Jakoyo was here, you alluded to the fact that now the Deputy President, he had made comments about you that he thinks you actually take bang, and also you feed that bang to the bulls. You are the bullfighter as well, right? That is how he thought about you. Do you still hold that particular view? Because you are contestating that particular view on this particular show. And you know that particular statement.
In politics, my son.
In politics?
There is something called stagecraft.
Stage what?
Stagecraft.
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 Craft. Oh,
Yeah.
stage.
One of the best,
Stagecraft. Okay.
one of the best practitioners of stagecraft in this country is my brother Raila Odinga. That's why you see him playing the imagery and all that. So if the things we say, on the podium, you are to put them in your heart, you would kill people.
Yeah.
You remember Raila saying that Jubilee
So
is Aviego Ngoja. What's wrong with you?
Do we get to finally speak? Seriously?
Don't you remember?
Stones to get motivated?
Yeah, please do something.
Don't you remember Raila saying on the podium that Jubilee ni gari, dereva ni mlevi, na
Manaba,
conductor
Numwizi.
ni mwizi. The president did not put it in his heart because he's a politician. I am a politician. So when the deputy president said Khalwale feeds bulls on bangi, he didn't mean I smoke bangi. But more importantly, the Bible says it's only fools who don't change their minds.
Politicians for you. Let's Kibano Matangi. Let's close up on this with you. Moving forward, what are we learning from here?
Now I'm contemplating whether to speak about Boni.
Go right ahead.
If you speak about Boni, you'll speak for long.
Because but it's okay. I mean, because there were quite a number of issues that he had to deal with anyway, and I think he's had to deal with them in his own way, which is I think is right. Going forward, one of the comments I would want to make at the bar is learning from political rhetoric. I was listening on Sunday, and I happened to have been in church with Senator Aaron Cheruiyot in Kiambu. And then when we left the church, the rally in Kibra was going on. And you know, you can't imagine how simple political rhetoric becomes, you know, such a mover of crowd. Because I heard when Raila spoke and he stood there, he's saying, bedroom, bedroom. and everybody is applauding back, bedroom. I mean, suddenly, bedroom has become such a, you know,
attraction.
And, you know, and such it's such a, you know, powerful political hype and rhetoric that, you know, I think, but of course, you know, one thing, and I think you need to give it to Raila and his crew, is this, I think he's used the word stagecraft, but also wordcraft. Is also another mantra, I believe it. Because, you know, you remember from Tialala to Tibim, now bedroom. You know, I mean, I think that's a mantra he needs to take. You know, Jacob Midu, what do you say that those Central Kenya politicians who came out and put their position correct, either offensive to the rest of the nation, you know, everyone has a right, in my view, to put up their position. It is a concern to members of my community that indeed, if we reverted, and what they spoke about is if we revert to, in this process, to a parliamentary system, that they would be having serious concerns. That's a concern that they expressed. There are many ways. Of course, I don't wholly subscribe to that view, because I know there are many ways of killing a cat. But that's not a debate we are willing to have now. Let the BBI come, as we've said. It's a report. Unlike the Punguza Mzigo bill, which would have been discussed in county assemblies and then comes to parliament with the force of a law, the BBI is simply a report. A report must be discussed. It cannot become anything else other than a report. And so that report then is what we would input, and we have a lot of things that we are going to say about it. And as senators, I believe we have a position as senators, which we have been discussing, that unless BBI, as it is brought to the fore, also has content about how devolution is going to be entrenched and strengthened, and the role played by the Senate. Some of those tenets are clear that we will be standing with, but we are waiting for it, you know, for that discussion. And then finally we'll discuss it. Lastly, Dibal, what I would want to say is concerns which I've raised there before, that it's my concern that the way we have moved on gradually, we are gaining momentum towards 2022 so fast, such that everything now is becoming political. If you look at from the elections in Kibra, now during those elections you had the utterances of so many people, oh, now BBI is coming, so referendum will be coming. Immediately after Kibra, and you saw the realignments everywhere on both sides. That tells you that by the time, maybe for example, if the BBI report is tabled in a week or so, then the debate on BBI ensues, and the country is again now in total political discussion. By the time we go to the next step of discussing how do we get to a referendum, or how would the BBI report product be legitimized, yes. Then again now you've hit another new higher level of politics. By the time now you discuss on what is the conclusion of the BBI, which probably is a referendum, as my colleagues here say, then you are now at note 5 of a political discussion. Then in 2022, and the questions that members of the public in this country must ask is, when is the political division going to serve the interest of the people? That has been my concern, because I think a huge chunk of our lives have been left so much to the determinations of the political force and wing, such that you find that we have the platform, the latitude to make those declarations, given the mandate, but when it comes to delivery, they are all excuses not to deliver. I'll be urging my colleagues in leadership that at least for once, for a change, let's slow down this thing. I'm pretty concerned the way we are moving. By the way, we have, as Jubilee ourselves, and now we have my brothers Tiende Amolo and even Jacob Mediwo in the handshake. we are responsible to the people of this country that we have to deliver what has been promised in 2013, 2017, up to 2022.
Thank you.
Before we start talking politics.
Right, thank you. Right, as we bring this to a close, I'll be remiss if we don't also give ourselves a chance to really comment and maybe bring to a sharp, conclusion and clarity as far as the Kibra by-election is concerned and moving forward. We might have really, bantered a lot on so many things, but of course, aside with that, we know the gravity of this matter. We need to take it seriously. As you mentioned, this could be a bellwether of where we're headed in 2022. If we don't correct it now, then it means also we are setting up ourselves also for challenges in 2022. As leaders and people who are taking you seriously and who are watching this show, maybe you can just try. We've learned from this, and it's not really a show to come and raise accusatory fingers of who has done what, who has done that. I think it's where we can try and crystallize ideas and say, where are we learning? How are we moving forward? Can we forgive one another? And of course, it's good to see that, Boni, also you're in one piece, right? We prayed for you as well. I was worried myself when I saw that huge block, and I wondered, is Boni okay as well? But as we're bringing this to a close, maybe we can hear from you also, Otenda Molo, very briefly.
Yeah,
but yeah, we just set off
I know
that
this will
toxic
also
tone.
be my closing remarks,
Please.
given the time. But I'm very worried, Debao. I'm worried at the level that Boni Khalwale has sunk to. The level of recklessness in terms of statements, even on this show. First of all, for the time you allowed him, he called Raila's name 21 times. Secondly, he called some Kibra residents uncircumcised young men. He then proceeds to defend stone throwing, because he's the only one who was caught of the leaders carrying stones, and he seeks to defend it live on TV. He then calls the BBI, the BBI team, the entire team, people of dubious talent, and then none of them is here to defend. Then he goes to call some leaders from his region greenhorns, who will not show anything. I mean, I can understand his bitterness, but the level of vitriol he's pouring might invite a re-examination of basic rules of engagement on this panel, because if we were all to sink to that level, then this show would be of negative influence rather than positive. So I think that is something you want to consider. Coming to the lessons in Kibra, I think I only see 3 lessons. One, as leaders, we need to be careful what we say, whether in rallies, whether in shows, whether in campaigns. Because what we say will eventually catch up with that or influence some people to act in a certain way. The second lesson for Kibra is about IBC, and I agree with Dr. Eseli Simu and my colleagues here. The truth is, a lot of the kind of action that political parties take is because of the failure by IBC. Even though the elections are over, you must remember, as Jacoy was saying, it took ODM to go to court for the court to order that the IBC releases the register. I will have you know that even then, they didn't release it. That is sad. Lastly, I think it's a lesson for those who think that money is everything. I think the people of Kibra gallantly showed that you can bring all the money in the world, but it will not influence the outcome. I think ultimately there's a new Kibra saying that don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's hear from Dr. Eseli.
I think, as I said earlier, the Kibra election is an exhibition of how elections should not be handled by the electoral body, by the security services, and by us, the political class. That was, I think, not a very encouraging show, especially when we are heading down to the 2022 election. I think the problem we are facing as a country is that around certain leaders, a cultish kind of movement is being created around certain leaders. This cultish kind of behavior in politics, especially when you throw in money, is actually a crucible for disaster in the future. I think we need to really relook at how we are carrying out our politics. And I would like the media to also come out clearly and set the agenda, because right now Kenya is suffering more from an economic downturn than many of the things we are talking about. And I think that's where we should be tackling, so that by the next election we have a better decision by the voters.
Agreed.
Did Otiende really understand what you asked him. Because you said, let us guard this home, let's be reconciliatory. Then he launches a tirade against Boni Khalwale, surely.
I was telling you not to get to those levels. Yes.
Anyway, you see, Otiende, while I may agree with you with some of the things you say, I think also basic rule of decorum, I think it's unfair what you do to Boni every other week. Boni is a respectable gentleman. For you to refer him to as a Sugoi tour guide every other time is not fair. And let's pay each other that. We can also begin to have names against each other.
But he calls me a bond operative all the time. He tells me I know.
Just a moment. We are winding up. Yeah. So anyway, I think we are close to correcting that.
No, it's me just to say this.
Please.
I want to celebrate one gentleman. That gentleman is a person that headed the Jubilee campaigns in terms of putting together the team that worked with Boni under enormous pressure from the team that was campaigning in Kibra, that Jubilee equally deploys boys, if I may call it that way, so that they protect the voters. Otiende wants us to believe the deputy president stood on the moral high ground and say we cannot degenerate into that level of ODM. We have campaigned, let us allow the law enforcement officers to do what is expected of them. It is such a wise decision, especially looking at it in retrospect, because imagine for 1 minute if Jubilee had equally hired goons the way ODM did, what we could be discussing this morning. Could we talk about that? Finally, on the issue of IEBC, there is a bill that is before Senate, having been passed by the National Assembly, IEBC
Amendment.
Act amendment.
Yes.
I think Senate really needs to move with speed, because the Kriegler report gave us an indicative timeline that 2 years before any general election, you need to have your electoral mechanisms in place. Do you know how much time is left before we hit that deadline?
Thank you.
9 months.
Thank you.